starting our RDI discussions on discipline and ideas in social sciences. So, section loyalty, section empathy, section diligence, and the rest of the sections in HUMS 11. In 2 minutes, we will be starting our on-air live via Facebook also in discussing topics under the discipline and ideas in social sciences.
Nais mo bang
INHS on air. INHS Senior High School. INHS on air. INHS Senior High School Champ Campus Radio 97 MHz FM.
Social science makes sense of the institutions that shape our lives. It helps people understand and engage with the key political and social institutions, thus benefiting individuals and society as a whole. Social science is now ready to trumpet its learning episode.
Oh yes!
This is Social Science.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow learners. Good afternoon, grade 11. Welcome to our new informative and learning episode of School on the Air on Discipline and Ideas in Social Sciences. I'm so happy to share another learning experience with you only here on 97 Senior High School Champ Radio. Always remember that even in these trying times brought by the COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Education is here to deliver quality and accessible education for all of you. This is your teacher broadcaster, Sir Hab. A positive mind is always find a reason to smile. How are you today, my dear learners? Hope that you are all doing great. And in order for us to feel great, may we see an emoji in order for us to be more grateful and happy. and more inspired to this afternoon's endeavor.
Amazing!
Okay, class, just like how you take good care of yourself as well as your body, always remember that you have also to take good care of your mind. And always bear in mind that we, your teachers, are here wherever you need us the most. Okay? And so, without much ado, okay, I wish to welcome you to this exciting world of discipline and ideas in social sciences. And to see if you are with me at this moment, okay, may we see again an emoji class. Okay? Okay, I'm glad that you are ready to learn. But before we continue, may we have a short break?
De Luna,
Present!
Herrera,
Present!
Valera,
Present!
Handa ba tayo sa school year 2020?
Present!
Ngayong taon, ang edukasyon tuloy pa rin. Sa tulong ng DepEd, mga guro at mga magulang, ang handang isip, handa bukas. Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-aaral. May mga modules para sa iba't ibang antas. Sa government TV, maging sa radyo. Mahalagang ligtas ang ating mga estudyante at guro. Kaya kahit nasa bahay, tuloy ang edukasyon. Kung tulong-tulong, may paraan, may aralan.
Handang isip, handa bukas.
Bisitahin ang DepEd Philippines sa Facebook at ang deped.gov.ph.
Okay, we're back. And, okay class, may we have a bit of recap to our previous discussions? In our previous lessons, we have learned about the key concepts and approaches in social sciences. And let's make some quick review of these approaches. What are the approaches in social sciences? Okay, may we have some feedbacks and response from you class? Please send your answers to our GC. So I would like to repeat, what are the approaches in social sciences before we may proceed to our new lessons today? Okay, that's right, you're correct. The approaches in social sciences are the psychoanalysis, the rational choice theory, the institutionalism, the feminism, the gender equality, the hermeneutic phenomenology, and of course, lastly, is the human environment system. These are some of the important theories and approaches in social sciences, which will help us to examine the country's socio-cultural and economic as well as political conditions. And I'm glad and indeed happy that you all remember our last topic. And it means that you are now ready for our next lesson.
Amazing!
Okay class, our new lesson is all about the key concepts and ideas of Filipino thinkers in social sciences rooted in Filipino languages and experiences. You might be wondering why we have to include Filipino thinkers, because as a matter of fact, these great Filipino thinkers are the very foundation of our social sciences discipline in Philippine context. Through the years, there are already a lot of Filipinos who extensively studied on the different situations, traditions, and attitudes in the Philippine society itself. This new series of lessons, therefore, will deal with the new state of social sciences in the Philippines, including different social factors vis-a-vis a Filipino as a social thinker, key values, Philippine psychology, and Filipinos' overall intellectual and cultural atmosphere in the society. But before we go on, what is social thinker? Okay? So, when we talk about social thinker, we might think that these are individuals who are capable of assessing and evaluating the societal conditions. But nonetheless, if that person able and capable to do that, we might be asking them again, who are social thinkers? That might be you. That might be me.
Amazing!
But who really are the social thinkers? Okay? So, without much ado, kindly send your answers in our e-classroom and we'll read after this break if you think that you know somebody who are a social thinker.
Jose, bakit di ka pa nakikinig? Oras na ng klase ninyo sa radyo ah.
Hindi naman po ako nakikita ni teacher eh.
Huwag magpabaya sa pag-aaral. Ang pagsisikap ay daan sa pag-unlad.
Isang paalala mula sa DepEd Region 2 at ng himpilang ito.
De Luna,
Present!
Herrera,
Present!
Valera.
Present!
Handa ba tayo sa school year 2020?
Present!
Ngayong taon, ang edukasyon tuloy pa rin. Sa tulong ng DepEd, mga guro at mga magulang, ang handang isip, handa bukas. Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-aaral. May mga modules para sa iba't ibang antas. Sa government
Okay, we're back. Sabi ni Ira, may kilala siyang social thinker, si Dr. Jose Rizal daw. Wow! Very good. Sabi naman ni Mona Lika, social thinkers, individuals in the society. Very good. Okay? And of course, ang sabi naman ni Don, social science is possible to extract a psychological reasoning. Wow! And of course, sabi pa niya, visionary of social science thinkers. Wow, very good. Okay? Also, sabi nila, Andres Bonifacio. Wow, very good. Sabi ni Rochelle, a person who is acknowledged as a visionary for social advancement. Wow! Ang gagaling ng mga UC students. Talaga naman ha. These are social thinkers. Soon to be a contributory in the development of the society. Wow! Gagaling. Okay? So, very good, grade 11. So, social thinkers are those individuals in the society who regarded as forefronts and visionaries for social advancement during their time. Social thinkers provided significant contributions to the advancement of the discipline of social sciences, development of political and social philosophical thoughts.
Amazing!
Okay? So if we try to look at that class, when we talk about significant contributions, that means something that serve as the very foundations of a certain discipline. But regardless of their contributions, may we give credit to them by honoring them one by one. Okay? So may we have the first social thinker. The first social thinker that contribute much in our society, and it became, of course, our national hero, is none other than Dr. Jose Rizal. Now, what particular contributions did Dr. Rizal contributed in social sciences? Dr. Jose Rizal is a genuine scholar and one of the great Filipino thinkers of all time. Dr. Jose Rizal, of course, at his young age, he was able to write to the Filipino youth. You might be thinking how these particular writings of Dr. Rizal contribute in the society in general. Of course, we do have a saying that the youth is the hope of the nation. Okay? That particular saying is contributed by Dr. Jose Rizal on the premise of social sciences. However, these sayings of Dr. Jose Rizal may also be included in the premise of law enforcement, because as a matter of fact, society in particular may also contribute into the peace and order situation, and youth in general is also considered a great contributory factor into these particular concepts. If Dr. Jose Rizal says the youth is the hope of the nation, the government says our delinquent of today is our tomorrow's criminal, and this particular premise and the premise of Dr. Jose Rizal is focuses on one and same factor, and that is the subject of being a youth. Therefore, Dr. Jose Rizal contributed these particular writings, okay, in order for us Filipinos to consider that one of the great foundation of the nation is really lies in the hands of the youth. Also, Dr. Rizal wrote two significant novels that shaped greatly indeed and awakened the spirit of Filipinos. This is the Noli Me Tangere and the El Filibus Turismo. Dr. Rizal pointed out the various weaknesses of Philippine society as a result of an oppressive colonial policies and the lack of reforms to address the pressing needs of the time. Okay? And also Dr. Jose Rizal, in his sequel in El Filibusterismo, pointed out also that it begins with the return of a main protagonist turned to be a villain. What does it mean? Sir, ano ibig sabihin nun? Sir, bakit kailangan nating aralin yun? Because we need to consider that during this time, the main theme of the sequel is it connotes the ill system of the colonial government during the Spanish time, including corruptions, phylocracy, and unjust government regulations, which led to the opposition and sedition even by the most loyal citizens. So if we try to simplify class, because of Dr. Jose Rizal, we were able to develop gradually our sense of nationalism and patriotism that paved the way, giving a recognition to Dr. Jose Rizal as a great Filipino hero. Okay? So with that, Dr. Jose Rizal really contributed in the development of social sciences in the Philippine setting, and he was then dubbed as an scholar of all time. Okay?
Amazing.
Okay, so may we proceed to the next thinkers. Okay? Wow, ang ganda pala ng contributions ni Dr. Jose Rizal.
Amazing.
So, tingnan natin class. May we consider also another thinker who play also significant contributions in the development of social sciences in the Philippines. And this is none other than Isabelo de los Reyes. Who is Isabelo de los Reyes, by the way? If we try to look on the history books, we seldom find the name Isabela de los Reyes. And if we listen with various discussions, okay, it also very noticing that Isabela de los Reyes is not included. But why? Let us try to determine the very reason why Isabelo de los Reyes, despite he is a great Filipino thinker, but then seldom that we hear his name in the discussions in the history, discussions in the social context, discussions in civil society, and even discussions in community engagement and solidarity. Okay? But what is the contributions of Isabelo de los Reyes? Isabelo de los Reyes is a famous social thinker who criticized the Spanish and American invaders in the Philippines. He is a former journalist, a writer, and take note class, a senator of the Philippines.
Amazing.
See? Isabelo de los Reyes is a senator, but we seldom hear his name. Isabelo de los Reyes authored several novels and essays, and one of these is Ang Singsing ng Dalagang Marmol. Okay? And then again, what is Ang Singsing ng Dalagang Marmol? Sir, hindi namin naririnig yan even in our AP when we were in grade 10. Then precisely, what is Singsing? Ang Singsing ng Dalagang Marmol. This Ang Singsing ng Dalagang Marmol portrays and illustrates during the Spanish colonial period class that Filipinos are under force majeure. Okay? What is force majeure? Okay? Force majeure is a forced labor. Okay? Since Filipinos are considered Indios and Indios are slaves, and force majeure is rampant. Okay? And this essay, Ang Singsing ng Dalagang Marmol, means the Spanish or the colonizers, when they saw a beautiful Filipino woman, they won't send them to a forced labor. Okay? Ang ginagawa nila, ginagamit nilang servidora at binibihisan nila yung mga magagandang Filipina. And this Ang Singsing ng Dalagang Marmol, okay, umiikot doon sa kwento na pinapalabas ni Isabelo de los Reyes, which means it symbolizes how these colonizers really abusive with the rights of the Filipina women. Okay? Also, Dr. Isabelo de los Reyes wrote a Genesis Scientifico y Moderno. Okay? What is a Genesis Scientifico y Moderno? How this contribute in social sciences in the Philippine setting? Genesis Scientifico y Moderno contributed that because in these particular writings of Dr. de los Reyes, it portrays that despite Philippines under colonial period, we can even develop our own system. We can develop our own culture. We can develop our own traditions, and we can emerge with the range of Spanish community when it comes to, take note class, when it comes to, it is at par considered as, during that time, Filipinos are intelligent, but they were not given the opportunity to show their talents. Why? Because during that time, they believed that Filipinos have no right to access for an education. Okay? And Isabelo de los Reyes pointed out that in his writings, Genesis Scientifico y Moderno. And as a journalist, he wrote other articles elaborating the Spanish friars' corruptions. And this led to his imprisonment. Take note class, this led to his imprisonment because he able to uncurtain the corruption activities of the Spanish friars. Because during the time, Spanish friars run the government. Okay? And take note class, when Isabelo de los Reyes released from imprisonment and when he came back to the Philippines from Spain, he brought with him, and of course, not just brought with him, he adopted, of course, the famous works of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and that is the adaptation of the Marxism theory. Okay? And this particular theory led to empower De los Reyes, okay, to his campaign over the workers' rights. And because of that, he eventually landed into a government position. And that is to become a member of Philippine legislator. But I would like to go back then again with my statement just a while back. But why is it that Isabelo de los Reyes is seldom to be heard in the Philippine history topics and in other discussions about social sciences? Because Dr. Isabelo de los Reyes class pursued communist state rather than pursuing democratic form of government. And in our previous discussions, if you can still recall, in one among the approaches under structural functionalism, symbolic interactionism, and the third of this is the Marxism theory, in which they always look into a parameter that, since Marxism focused on fighting for the rights of the people's constitutional right to gain access to government, specifically by promoting communism, is really a factor to consider that this is a deviant against, or really a deviant to the form of government that we have. That is the very reason why Dr. Isabelo de los Reyes is seldom to be included in the discussions of the great Filipino thinkers, because he really posed for the adaptation of the communism in the Philippines. But indeed, Dr. Isabelo de los Reyes is a great Filipino thinker. Okay?
Amazing!
Okay, so we gone for two social thinkers. Okay? The third Filipino thinker that we're about to discuss, class, is, of course, he is great because he came from an affluent family in Manila. Okay? Actually, he is born in Santa Cruz, Manila, and he is Pedro Paterno. Pedro Paterno is posed a great interest in early Filipinos and their culture. Okay? So, sir, bakit siya nagpo-pose ng interest sa Filipinos and their culture? Is Pedro Paterno is a Filipino? Pedro Paterno is not a Filipino, but he was then adopted, okay, to become a Filipino citizen. Okay? Ironically, in the previous discussions, we never made mention about the nationality of Pedro Paterno. But Pedro Paterno is an Spanish national, but then he was then turned to be a Filipino because he became a naturalized Filipino citizen after helping the Filipino to fight for their freedom. Okay? But what are the contributions of Paterno in the development of social sciences in the Philippines? Paterno contributed a first Filipino collection of poem, and this entitled Sampaguitas y Poesías. Okay? I repeat, Sampaguitas y Poesías Varias, a compilation of a Filipino poem, because he loved and beloved how Filipinos really gifted in crafting a poem. Also, Paterno contributed the first Filipino novel, and that is entitled Ninay. He contributed in 1850. While in Spain, showing his love to Filipino people, Paterno became a part of the propaganda movement, and he wrote numerous dissertations on Filipino culture, and this includes the Antigua Civilization Tagalog. Now, you might be thinking, sir, ano ba nilalaman yan? Okay? And I do believe, not only to my Humes students, for those who are listening with us right now, because there is a comment, sabi niya, sir, I'm listening here. Nandito po ako sa Santa Victoria. Isa po akong parent. Wow! Thank you po, Nay, Tay, sa pakikinig po.
Amazing!
So, ano nga ba yung Antigua Civilization Tagalog? Para po sa kaalaman ng madlang people, ito po yung pinakadahilan kung bakit meron po tayong tinatawag na Luzon Island. Because Pedro Paterno, in his writings, in his dissertation, in 1887, wrote Antigua Civilization Tagalog, pointing out that there is an island in the Philippines which is very iconic island, okay, that resembles a native civilization of early cultures that is being adopted in a European nations. Okay? At ito po ay yung creation ng tinatawag nating Luzonic Island. Okay? So dati po wala po tayong tinatawag na Luzon Island. Wala po tayong tinatawag na Visayas Island. Okay? But what we do have before is Panay Island and the Pacific Coast Island. Okay? And because of his writing, he named the Luzon Island. He made mention this in his dissertation Antigua Civilization Tagalog. And Paterno pointed out that most of the people residing in this island speaks a lingo of Tagalog plus
Amazing.
an ethnicity language of cultures which pointed out on Ilocanos, Ibanags, Itawis, Gaddang, Kankanae, Bicolano, and of course, the ethnicity of the tribal Aitas in Central Luzon. Okay? So Dr. Paterno pointed out these categories of lingo studies. Okay? And that is included in his Antigua Civilization Tagalog. Also, Dr. Paterno pointed out in his other writings the Los Aitas. Okay? What is Los Aitas? What is in these particular writings of Dr. Paterno? Dr. Paterno wrote this Los Aitas, a study that described the customs of Negritos in the Visayan region. Okay? And these Negritos were commonly seen in Panay Island. And Panay Island today, class, is known as the Visayas Island. So, we do have now the Luzon Island and the Visayas Island, which were coined by Paterno in his dissertation. Now, you might be asking me, sir, nasaan ang Mindanao? Ang Mindanao, class, was never conquered by colonizers. But there is a great Filipino thinker in that area who is also a Filipino hero, but then we seldom see his name in the various writings and recognitions of Filipino heroes because he is a Moro. Take note. He is a Moro Filipino hero, and in fact, if I may say it right and correct, he is, I believe, he is the first Filipino hero.
Amazing.
And this is in the person of Gat Lapu-Lapu.
Amazing.
Gat Lapu-Lapu fight against the colonizers. In fact, in our discussions in the Philippine history, it made mention there that Lapu-Lapu killed Magellan in the famous battle in Mactan. And Lapu-Lapu is the first great Filipino hero who fight against the colonizer. And that is in the Mindanao area. Okay? So, then again, I made mention about the contributions of Pedro Paterno, coined the Luzonic Island and the Visayan Island and put distinctions between these two. And that is the very reason why the Philippines, rather, as a country, is a multicultural and a diverse social community. And this indeed because of the contributions made by Pedro Paterno. Okay. But then, unfortunately, class, most of the contemporaries of Paterno, and of course to made mention about Dr. Jose Rizal and De Los Reyes, give little no importance to the works of Paterno because of their, of course, during that time, there is also what we call a great crowd mentality among Filipino people, because this is being developed because, of course, anybody or everybody is really wanted to have a good life, and therefore they run after one another, and they really, of course, wanted to be recognized as well. So Pedro Paterno was not, of course, given such recognition because of the absurdity and the rationality of the other great Filipino thinkers also. Okay? So, that is for that is for Pedro Paterno Rather. Okay, are you still with me, guys? O kaway-kaway naman dyan. O pasend naman ng emoji dyan. Pa-heart-heart naman dyan. Section loyalty, nandiyan dyan pa ba kayo? Wow, nandyan pa si loyalty. How about section diligence? Are you still there, section diligence? Okay. Of course, hindi naman patatalo. How about section patience? Aba, buhay na buhay. And the rest of the sections, of course,
Amazing!
you are free to send your comment, your feedbacks, of course, and whatever things na nais nyong i-query po. Sige lang, bato-bato lang po tayo dyan ng comment and we will be reading them and we will try to address them, okay? One after the other. Of course, the next Filipino thinker is, of course, he is famous, okay? He is at par famous with Andres Bonifacio because he served as the brain of the Katipunan, and of course, he became the right hand of Andres Bonifacio. Okay? And being the brain of Katipunan, of course, he plays significant role in the development of social approaches. And I am referring to Emilio Jacinto. Okay? Emilio Jacinto is known as the brain of the Katipunan, and of course, Jacinto joined the Katipunan and rose to become the right hand of Andres Bonifacio. And further, he became the secretary of the Katipunan and the editor of the newspaper of the Kalayaan. Okay? What is Kalayaan? Kalayaan is the newspaper of the Katipunan. Of course, sa ngayon, hindi na po natin makikita yun, but the relics of this is in the National Museum. Okay? And Kalayaan is included in the manifesto of Dr. Jacinto that is included in his pahayag in the year 1896. Okay? And with these contributions of Jacinto, he personified and appears to a youth caught up in darkness. Okay? Since the Katipunan is an underground movement against the colonizers, of course, and they do have their hidden identities, and of course, Jacinto is the brain of that particular idea. And of course, another work of Jacinto is what we call the Katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan. Okay? And this was published in the American Tribunal before, when they able to get a copy of this, and they dubbed an English title, The Association of the Sons of the Nation. Okay? And bakit nga ba niya ito ginawa? What is the aim of Jacinto? Jacinto aimed to inform prospective members of the conditions for joining the secret society. Now, the members that Jacinto wanted to point out, these are the other members of the secret society during this propaganda period. Because as a matter of fact, class, when we talk about the propaganda movement in the Philippine setting, napakarami po nating mga underground movement during that time. And Jacinto united them as one using his, of course, work. Okay? Gumawa siya ng isang asosasyon na kung saan lahat ng other underground movement joins together, group themselves as one, and they able to reinforce the very foundation of the Katipunan movement in the Philippines. And that is through the Katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan, which led eventually to the leadership of Andres Bonifacio. Okay? So without this unification made by Jacinto, then Andres Bonifacio would not be recognized as the father of the Katipunan. Okay? So utang na loob ni Andres Bonifacio kay Jacinto kung bakit siya ang naging ama ng Katipunan sa Pilipinas. Okay? So ang ganda, class, no? We are pointing out, actually these are what we call the unspoken reality and the fact about the development of social sciences in the Philippines through these great Filipino thinkers. In fact, in the context of the Philippine history books, hindi po nila ito mini-mention. But you will, you will gonna learn all of this, of course, only in Hume's strand, of course. Dahil pati sa ating understanding, culture, society, and politics, pinag-uusapan ito. Under the discipline and ideas in social sciences, pinag-uusapan ito. So, wow! So, ang mga taga-Hume's pala ay mga social scientists, mga great thinkers. No wonder, magagaling ang mga taga-Hume's. Salute to all Hume's learners, of course. Saludo ako sa inyo. Kasi talagang dito pa lang nalalaman na natin kung ano yung magiging significant role natin in the society. Of course. Okay? Pagtuunan natin ng pansin, ang pinaka importante sa lahat, it is at par co-important with the other thinkers, but this person plays significant role in do we call this putting lights to the freedom for Filipino people and the Philippines rather as a great nation and a country. And I am referring to Andres Bonifacio. Okay? Andres Bonifacio is the father of the Philippine Revolution. Wow! Gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, siya ang naging ama ng Katipunan. Okay? Andres Bonifacio is a Katipunero and he is dubbed as the father of the Philippine Revolution. And of course, he is noted as one of the great and greatest Filipino heroes. Okay? Andres Bonifacio, of course, class, if dami na nating kwentong naririnig tungkol sa kanya, pero I would like to make mention a very important details how Andres Bonifacio was able to emerge himself as a great social thinker. Okay? And eventually recognized as a social scientist and a father of Philippine Revolution. Saan ba nanggaling ang kagalingan ni Andres Bonifacio sa pag-analisa ng problema ng society, ng komunidad? Okay? Bakit ganun na lang siya kapursigido na ipaglaban ang karapatan ng mga Pilipino? Of course, Andres Bonifacio, class, was able to enrich his knowledge on social issues by reading popular works of his time. And of course, popular works. Wow! Mga ano yan, mga novelty yan, mga what we call this, mga legends na yan, mga yan. Classics, old but legends. So meaning legendary talaga din si Bonifacio kasi yung mga binabasa niya during that time is an artwork of legends. So tignan natin. What are these particular works made by Bonifacio, of course. Read by Bonifacio rather. Of course, first and foremost. Andres Bonifacio enriched his knowledge by reading the French Revolution. Wow! Ano ba ang nakuha ni Andres Bonifacio in reading French Revolution? Of course, class, do we call this? Gawin nating worldwide yung pagiging social thinker ng mga taga-Humes. Okay? Lipad tayo sa European continent. Okay? French Revolution, class, this is a war between, of course, it's between an Englishman, of course. Pag sinabi nating Englishman, England po ito, automatic po yun. And an Irish, okay? Pag sinabi nating Irish, Englishman, and the people in Scotland. So, Englishman versus an Irish. Okay? But, I will only pointing into that. Ano yung pinaka-significant or highlights na na-adapt ni Bonifacio dito? This was then, the thing that Andres Bonifacio adopted here, class, is the sense of being a patriotism. Because in the French Revolution, they fostered a sense of nationalism and patriotism. Okay? So, kung gusto po ninyong malaman yung kwento ng French Revolution po, you should watch the movie of Mel Gibson, The Patriotism. That is a cinematographic presentation of the French Revolution. Of course, another novel that Andres Bonifacio read that enriched his knowledge is, of course, The Life of the President of the United States. Of course, wow, President of United States. Pero ang tanong, sino sa kanila ang tinutukoy ni Andres Bonifacio? Okay? Sino nga ba ang tinutukoy ni Andres Bonifacio na presidente ng Amerika? Of course, medyo itwist natin ng konti. Before this US president became a president, of course, he was then tagged as an enemy of the state, and he has been under manhunt by the US government of his time. Of course, hinabol siya. Kumbaga, winanted siya because they believe he has nothing to do with the great country but rather to bring chaos. Kasi ang ginawa niya during that time kasi, pinamunuan niya yung mga US troops, of course, na lumaban at i-conquer yung ibang lugar sa United States, of course. So, nung siya ay hinahabol ng mga dati niyang kasamahan para siya ay hulihin at ikulong, tumakas siya. And they believe na habang tumatakas siya, ay dala-dala niya ang kayamanan ng United States of America. So, he crossed the Michigan River. Oh, galing, no? Galing ni Sir Rahab. Pati pala international history. Of course. Kasi ito po ay kailangan nating ibahagi sa ating mga mag-aaral. Kaya po tayo ay nag-a-cross discipline. So, he crossed the Michigan River. Of course, nung natawid niya ang Michigan River, sa kabila, nag-camp sila. Pero natuntun sila doon at doon siya ay nahuli. Nung siya ay nahuli, dinala siya sa palasyo ng kanilang gobyerno at siya ay hinatulan na makulong. Pero bagkus, nung siya ay nakakulong, pinaglaban niya ang kanyang karapatan and eventually he became a great US President. Sino kaya itong presidenteng ito ng Amerika? So any guess, class? Sino kaya itong US President na to? Ang makakahula, of course, bibigyan ko ng reward. Okay? Ano ang reward na ibibigay mo, sir? Plus points ba? Of course. Hindi lang plus points, di ba? Pag nahulaan mo siya, ang reward mo sa akin ay isang masigabong palakpakan, of course. Okay. Bakit sir masibagong palakpakan? Kasi nire-recognize kita. Kasi ang galing-galing mo. Wide reader ka, tali-talino mo. You are really a social thinker. Pero sino ba itong US President na to? Any guess, class? Ha? Meron po ba tayong alam dyan na pwedeng isagot kung sino tong US President na to? O shall I keep this as your assignment? Pwede naman, di ba? Para ma-research nyo, para meron tayong bibigyan ng maraming pag-giveaway pag nagkataon, di ba? Pero sino nga ba siya? Anyone, class? There are so many great American president, pero ito, hinangaan talaga ito ni Andres Bonifacio. Siya ay actually, siya yung nakaupo sa rebulto. Ay, yung rebulto na nakaupo, rather, sa bukana ng White House. Siya anyone? Gusto ko makita feedback sa GC? Siya ay Siya ay siya ay sabi ni Maxine Francisco, si George Washington. Siya nga ba? Si George Washington nga ba? George Washington din, sabi din ni Althea. Ang sagot ay, yes, si George Washington. Siya yung tinutukoy ni Andres Bonifacio. Okay. Ano yung inadapt ni Andres Bonifacio dito? Ang inadapt ni Andres Bonifacio, one country must have one government. Okay? So, hindi po pwedeng hati-hati. Hindi pwedeng may gobyerno si Luzon, may gobyerno si Visayas, may gobyerno si Mindanao. In every great nation, there should be only one government. So, ang galing talaga ni Bonifacio, no? And then, ang pangatlo, actually, classic ito may movie na rin ito Ito yung pangatlo, The Les Miserables. Okay? Ano yung Les Miserables? Diba? Sabi nung iba, Sir, Les Miserables. O, sige na, whatever you pronounce it. Okay? It's the Les Miserables. Ano ito? Ito ay isang epic na ito ay yung mga tungkol sa mga slave. Actually, slavery din ang kwento nito. Na siniship nila yung slave from the European countries, siniship nila going to the American continent, of course. And from there, yung mga slave, lumaban sila, ipinaglaban nila yung karapatan nila para sa kanilang kalayaan. And upon reaching, of course, the US soil, tinalo nila yung mga nagmamando sa barko, and they pronounced their own freedom in the US territory. Kaya kung titignan nyo, class, may istorya ang United States of America. Pag sinabi nating US, hindi po mga puti talaga ang tao dyan. Ang mga tao dyan po ay mga Indians. Okay? Ang Native Americans are Indians. Yung mga nakikita natin ngayong mga Amerikano na puti, galing po sa Europa yung mga yan. At ang kwento niyan ay nasa Les Miserables. So, fighting for their own rights and freedom. So, yun na naman ang na-adapt ni Andres Bonifacio. Of course, meron pang isa. Ito, hindi ito common sa kaalaman ng iba. Okay? Or sa lahat. Iilan lang ang nakakaalam tungkol dito. The ruins of Palmyra. Of course. Ano yung nasa ruins of Palmyra? Ano ang na-adapt ni Andres Bonifacio dito? Ang ruins of Palmyra, class, ito ay tungkol sa kwento ng isang community na kung saan sila ay kinupkop. Actually, tribal war ito tribal war. One tribe showing their notoriety and strength against another tribe, and they conquered this tribe, the Palmyra tribe. So kinonquer nila because they believe that the Palmyra tribe are weak and they cannot fight against this conqueror. Pero ang nangyari, lumaban sila by their in their own way, ingenuity, okay, and improvise system of war tactics, at nanalo sila. At yun din ay inadapt ni Bonifacio. So ang galing ni Bonifacio, no? And of course, the last na binabasa ni Bonifacio during his time is the Wandering Jew. Ito namang Wandering Jew is it portrays the history of an Israel and a Palestine na hanggang ngayon ay nag-aaway pa rin yung dalawang bansa. Pero ang moral lesson na kinuha ni Bonifacio dito is how to fight against the enemy by uniting the people of your own country. So ibig sabihin, unification of the Filipino people to fight against the colonizers. Wow, ang galing ni Bonifacio. And that is the very reason why Bonifacio able to conceptualize, okay, the Philippine Revolution. And he was one of the original founders of the radical group known as the Katipunan, overthrowing the Spanish colonial regime in the Philippines. Okay, so wow! Diba? So, yun po ang ating mga great Filipino thinkers, class. Okay? So, tingnan natin. Let's go back and i-wrap up natin. Okay? Who are these great social Filipino thinkers? These are also heroes, class. But before they became a hero, they first contribute much in the development of social awareness in the Philippine society. Okay? So, first and foremost, we have Dr. Jose Rizal. Okay? Our national hero. And he became more popular in his writing Noli Me Tangere and the El Filibusterismo, and of course in his last writings prior to his execution in the Luneta is the Mi Ultimo Adios, and his famous saying, ang kabataan ay pag-asa ng bayan. And then we have, of course, Isabelo de los Reyes. Of course, another famous social thinker. Okay, ano ang contributions niya? Wag na nating pagtuunan yung communism form of government. But what is important to Isabelo de los Reyes' contribution is he able to fight for the rights of the oppressed people, especially yung mga manual laborer natin. So, ito yung mga karapatan ng manggagawa. So, si Isabelo de los Reyes po ang nakipaglaban dyan. And then we have Pedro Paterno. Pedro Paterno is another intellectual who have a great interest with the promoting Filipino culture and tradition. Okay. Of course, and we have also Emilio Jacinto. Ano ang contributions niya? He is the brain of the Katipunan, nothing more, nothing less. Because of him, he able to unite all the underground movement and able to form the Philippine Katipuneros that paved the way for the creation of the Philippine Revolution movement. Okay? And lastly is we have got Andres Bonifacio, the father of the Philippine Revolution and one of the greatest Filipino thinkers. Okay, so those are the great Filipino thinkers, class. So meron po ba kayong mga queries dyan? Or do you have any queries or questions? We will be catering them. Okay? Meron po ba? Okay, so go na. So great. Gagaling na mga estudyante natin ngayong hapon, no? This time is really a manifestation that Hume's students are really a social thinkers, no? So I do hope naman na with these various contributions of great social thinkers, somehow na-awaken po yung ating mga spirits in order for us to be able to contribute also in our society. Okay? And I am hoping that everything is really well taken and understood by all of you class. And of course, don't forget, okay, before we end up our discussions, don't forget, of course, your reflections. Send it to our e-classrooms. And most important class is, of course, you able to learn, of course, in our discussions. Despite amid COVID-19 pandemic, we able to develop a new scheme in order for you to be taught and to be learned, of course, at this very point in time. Okay? So, without much to do, once again, I am your teacher broadcaster, Sir Hub. Always says, if you don't build your dreams, someone else will hire you to build theirs. Again, good afternoon everyone. This is your radio station, INHS Champ Campus Radio 97 MHz, saying, sulong pa edukalidad, syudad Ilagan. Mabalo sa inyong lahat. Okay. Once again, good afternoon. I would like to, of course, gusto ko malaman, nandito na po ba yung mga estudyante natin sa community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship. Pakaway-kaway naman dyan. Pa-emoji naman dyan kung meron na kayo dito. Kung nandito na kayo, rather. Grade 12 po, mga grade 12 HUMS students. Are you with us? Okay, so our next topic is about community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship. Still, this is your teacher broadcaster, Sir Hub. And saying once again, good afternoon to one and all. Of course. Sabi ni, uy, hi, John Filimon Telan. Good afternoon to you, sir. Okay. Sabi niya, yes, sir, we are here. Of course. So, nandito na sila. So, umpisahan natin. Okay, so, once again, good afternoon, HUMS 12. Okay. Sana nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan, no? And, sana all set tayo ngayong hapon na to because of course, community engagement ang ating pag-uusapan. Okay? Medyo ano to, tawag nito, maganda tong pag-usapan class kasi malaking bagay ang maitutulong sa inyo nito. Okay? So, what is the importance of solidarity in promoting national and global community development? Of course, yun yung parati nating naririnig eh. Sabi nila what is the importance? So ano nga ba ang kahalagahan? Okay? Ng solidarity. Of course. So tingnan natin. Okay? This afternoon class, you're going to learn about the importance of solidarity in promoting national and global community development. Okay? Amid this, you can give a simple definition of the word solidarity and community, of course. Kasi parati nating inaalam pag narinig mo ba yung salitang community, ano yung pumapasok sa isip mo? Pag naririnig mo yung salitang development, anong pumapasok sa isip mo? Pag narinig mo yung salitang solidarity, anong pumapasok sa isip mo? Of course, yung mga may idea dyan, pasend naman tayo sa ating feedback, okay? At ating babasahin ang inyong mga comment, okay? So, meron po tayong chat box dyan sa ating comment section. So, comment lang po. Ano nga ba ibig sabihin ng solidarity? Okay? Anybody? Solidarity is agreement. Wow! Correct. Galing ni Jan. Solidarity is an agreement. It's a certain to consider that when we agreed upon to do something and we must do as one, then that is a solidarity. Okay? Kumbaga, ito yung tinatawag dating unifying as one. Of course. Okay? So, solidarity is about regarding our fellow human being rather, justly and respecting who they are as a person. Okay? Once again, it is regarded as our fellow human being justly and respecting who they are as a person. So when we respect somebody, that is already a manifestation of solidarity. Because solidarity in this particular premise class is a generic term. Take note, isa siyang generic word. When we talk about solidarity in here, we are not talking about solidarity in its literal definition. We are talking about its generic definition. That means it is what we call operational definition. And it coined as regarded to a fellow human being justly and respecting who they are as a person. Take note, justly. Just. That means reasonable. Okay? And of course, community development is defined as a process wherein community members comes together to take a collective action and generate solution to common problems and pursue a community well-being. So I made mention just while back, we should act as one and in unison. Okay? We must be united in order for us to be able to come up with a certain action, and that leads us into a community development. Okay? And so with this particular premise, what comes into your mind when we say community action? Okay? So based from that premise, what comes into your mind when we say community action? Does the community can act? Of course. Others say yes, others may say no. But when we talk about solidarity in community engagement, really community do act. Okay? So, what then is community action? Okay. Of course, may we see your comment? Okay? So, community action, may we see comments? Eliza?
Amazing!
Community action is understanding. Community action is engagement, community, and empowerment. In short, community engagement and community empowerment. Okay, anong ibig sabihin nun? How can we engage community? And how can we empower community? Okay? To answer that class, first is how can we engage community and how can we empower community in order for us to be able to empower and engage community. So we will settle first the premise, how can we empower community? Empowering community class is by unison, setting common objective, one common goal, and unify the common tao. Then again, I would like to point out common tao. What is common tao? Common tao class refers to the people in the community or the people in the society. Set one common goal, set a common objective, unify the people. And if you able to do that, you able to empower and engage the community. So you see? So napakadali, di ba? As simple as that in order for us to be able to empower and engage the community. Okay? So knowing how is very important. So community in action is about putting communities at the heart of their own local services, which involve helping the community to share knowledge, skills, and ideas. So take note class, sharing of knowledge, sharing of skills, and sharing of ideas. Okay? It's too literal kung titignan natin. Sir, how can we share our knowledge? Of course, by teaching the nonetheless the less educated one. Okay? That's basic. Of course. Diba? Sharing skills. How? By teaching those individuals on how to do such certain thing or how to perform such work or how to carry out certain tasks. Of course, that is sharing your skills, and by giving them venue to learn and giving them the opportunity of course, to develop themselves is sharing your skills. And of course, sharing of ideas. Okay? How? Most of the time, class, this is one among the most abused concepts under community engagement, sharing of ideas. Okay? Because we able to defeat the very purpose of sharing of ideas, and this may result up to the extent of creating gossips, of course. Sakit, di ba? Eto kasi, class. Sir, bakit ba yung sa baryo, madaling kumalat ang balita? Of course, may saying tayo dyan. May pakpak ang balita, may tenga ang lupa. Pero kung ang kaharap mo ay mga chismosa, ibig sabihin that is what we call a violation of the very purpose, context, and concepts of sharing ideas under community engagement. Okay? So, when we share our ideas, class, we should see to it that we are not degrading other people. We are not pointing on the negative aspects of these people, but rather we share ideas positively. We share ideas for common good, for common interest, and in order for us to help one another. That means we share a fruitful ideas. We share a doable ideas. We share a common idea that may unify other people in the community, that may lead into a one common goal and objective. And that is, of course, for the development of the society as a whole. Okay? So therefore, in order for us to do that, we should always involve the different core values and principles, which includes, of course, human rights. And not very notable into that is respect of one another. Okay? Respect one's rights. Social equality, of course, gender equality, and participatory development. So take note, class, once again. Human rights, of course. Okay? How many rights do we have defined by the Constitution? We have so plenty of rights. How many rights that we have inherent to us as a human being? We have so many rights. Okay? But right now, what I do have with me is two rights. Okay? Diba? Ano yung two rights mo, sir? The right to speak before you and the right to teach you the proper learnings in community engagement. Therefore, class, makinig, makipag-interact para magkaroon tayo ng isang magandang discussion about your community engagement. Okay. So, kaway-kaway naman dyan. Okay, magbasa tayo ng comments. So, mag-send kayo ng mga comments nyo pag may mga tanong kayo. Okay, tanong nyo lang. Babasahin natin yan, sasagutin natin yan. At mag-provide tayo ng venue para yan ay mapag-usapan. Of course. Okay? So, do you have any question, class? Clarifications? Okay? So, before we go further, I would like you to reflect with this song about community engagement and solidarity para ma-reinforce po natin ang ating tinatawag na core concepts and principles. Okay, so If you pay attention with the video clip class, it manifests that really a community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship always centered on societal strata. Of course, there are so many things that we need to consider. But it always boils down into one basic question. And the question is, how can we contribute to the society? How can you contribute to the society? So it's you, it's me, it's us. How can we contribute to the society? Or shall I say, what are the best things that we have had contributed to the development of the society? Okay? These are a simple questions. But of course, it doesn't require you to answer immediately by saying yes or no, I did. Because these questions really enkindling questions. It touches your heart and mind in order for you to evaluate yourself, to assess yourself. That does you really participate in community activities? Did you perform such an activity that helped the community in general? That helped other people in particular? See? Or did you participate such an activity that able to change the life of others? These are a basic premise class that you always look into when we talk about community engagement. Okay? Because, as a matter of fact, one among the core values and principles of community in action class is to look into human rights. And once we discuss human rights under your module, of course, I am always pointing out all the discussions that we had is taken and extracted from your modules. You may notice there that we have the human rights, we have the social equality, we have the gender equality, and of course, we have the participatory development. All of this always boil down into one basic question. Okay? What have you done to your society? Or what have had you contributed to your society? Okay? So, let us try to look into. Let's evaluate ourselves. Let's assess things so that in order for us to be able to determine if we have had done something, did we contributed something, did we able to influence the life of the others, did we make a difference? Okay? So let us try to see. Okay? Core values and principles of community actions and initiatives in community engagement and solidarity. First and foremost is, of course, human rights. Okay? Human rights. When we talk about human rights class, what comes first in your mind? Of course, sir, karapatan pantao. Yeah. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Indeed, human rights. But have you considered the rights of other people over your rights? Or have you been thinking that the rights is co-equal with your rights? Or you might be asking, who belongs the right? Take note, class, these are basic questions that we need then again to address. Why? Because human rights belongs to everyone. It belongs to all of us. Pag-aari nating lahat. Nobody or no one have the monopoly of these rights. Okay? Your rights is my rights, and their rights is our rights. Therefore, rights is ours. No one owns it. Nobody controls it, but it belongs to everybody. Okay, now, if this belongs to anybody, would there be a limitations? None. Okay? because it belongs to anybody regardless of their circumstances. It should not and it cannot be taken away from anybody. Now, you might be asking me, sir, saan ba nanggaling ang rights? As then again, as I said, rights are defined by the law. Rights provides by the law. And these rights defines under the supreme law of the land, and that is defines under the Philippine Constitution. Okay? And these rights class are what we call the legal rights. And there are so plenty. We have an abundant rights defined by the Constitution. But nonetheless, class, we do have also natural rights. Other than rights defined under the Constitution of the under the Philippine Constitution, we do have natural rights. What are these rights? Of course, the right to live. Okay? May karapatan tayo mabuhay. Of course. Sir, may mga circumstances ba under community engagement na na-violate ito? Of course. There are so many. Nakakagalaiti lang, class, because there are so many people who were given the right to bear a child, and yet, for God's sake, of course, anong ginagawa nila? Okay? Pinapa-abort nila. Sino ang tinanggalan mo ng karapatang mabuhay? Ang tinanggalan mo ng karapatang mabuhay ay yung bata. Sino ang tanggal? Yung nanay. My God, this is our natural right. Okay? Kasama po yan sa human rights. Okay? Kaya nga, may category tayo. The rights defined by the 1987 Constitution, these are our legal rights, and we do have the natural rights. And the natural rights is the right to live, karapatang mabuhay. Pag ginawa mo yan, at nabuyan, may buhay yan, panindigan mo kasi may karapatan yan. At ikaw na magulang, wala kang karapatan na alisin sa kanya yung karapatan na yun. And that is a big no-no to community engagement. Okay? Another right is the right to love and to be loved. May karapatan kang magmahal at mahalin. Sabi nung iba, sir, karapatang umibig at ibigin. Of course, eto na naman ay infinite term. Pero ano nga ba yung pinaka-point nito? The right to love and to be loved, yung bang sense of belongingness, sense of yung feeling that you are so important with other people, and you must do the same, that you must let them feel also that they are important to you. That is the right to love and to be loved. Okay? And other thing may come. Okay? When you love, you respect. Of course. Okay? Hindi yung, oh, may karapatan ako magmahal at mahalin. Love can never be demanded. It cannot be demanded. Just same as to respect and as to trust. Of course. They should be earned. Okay? So when we say, I have the right to love, you should earn to be loved. Okay? Because aside from your feelings, your emotions, this is to be earned, class. How? Of course, by showing good deeds, by showing who you are, what you are, being a good person. Okay? Not only to yourself, but to others and to the community. Remember, class, we learn to love people the way they do things to us, to other people, and to the community. Okay? Yun yung sinasabi dun, na right to love and to be loved. Bakit mahalaga sa iyo ang isang tao? Kasi maganda ang ginagawa niya, kasi pinapahalagahan ka niya, kasi pinapahalagahan niya ang sarili niya, kasi pinapahalagahan niya ang community niya. Kaya mahalaga siya sa akin at mahal ko siya. Iba naman kasi yung mahal kita kasi mahal kita. Hindi mo ma-explain kung ano yung pagmamahal na yun. Sana all. Di ba? Okay? So, baka mamaya sabihin ng mga estudyante natin, si Sir naman sinabi niya right to love and to be loved. Of course, sinasabi ko na po sa inyo, the right to love and to be loved is focused and anchored with the community engagement. Because yung karapatan yung ibigin at umibig, emotional po yan. It has nothing to do with our discussion. So, kinakategory ko na po kaagad. Okay? It is our natural right to love and to be loved, but categorically, we are talking about community engagement. We learn to love people, and people learn to love us because of what we do and how we do things. To them, to ourselves, and to the greater community. Okay? Now, sir, pag na-violate natin yung mga karapatan na yun, may sanction po ba yun sa community? Of course! May sanction po yun. Remember then again, class. Okay? Grade 12 kayo. And I do believe when you were in grade 11, you were being encountered the word mala inse and mala prohibita. Napaka-importante po ito sa community engagement. Knowing the difference between mala inse and mala prohibita is of very important to this particular endeavor because we might do things and we believe it is not prohibited because there is no law defining it, but you were wrong. Why? Because we have a principle of mala inse and mala prohibita. So let's try to look quickly. Ano nga ba itong dalawa? Mala prohibita, class, is an act is prohibited because there is a law defining it and providing punishment therein. So, ibig sabihin, ipinagbabawal siya kasi may batas na nagsasaad na ito ay bawal at kapag ito ay na-violate mo, may karampatang kaparusahan. That is mala prohibita. So, ipinagbabawal ng batas. At ang mala inse naman, okay, the act is prohibited. Bakit siya, sir, prohibited? Because the act itself is wrongful from its very nature. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Walang batas na nagbabawal pero mali talaga yung ginawa mo o mali yung gagawin mo. Simulat sa pool pa lang ay mali. Kaya siya ipinagbabawal. Okay, one good example under community engagement and solidarity. Okay. Because we are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, so our example focuses into that. Dumating si Mayor, dahil nilockdown niya ang barangay, may dala siyang relief goods. Wow! Tama nga naman, relief goods, lockdown eh. Diba? Pero tingnan natin, the difference between mala prohibita and mala inse. Okay. Bawal ba magdala ng relief goods? Hindi po bawal ang magdala ng relief goods. Okay? Karapatan ba ng tao ang makakuha ng relief goods? Hindi po. Hindi mo karapatan. Pero privilege mo. Magkaiba po kasi ang karapatan sa privilege. Rights versus privilege, magkaiba po under human rights. Rights can be demanded. Why? Kasi nakasaad sa batas. Ang privilege ay isang pagkakataon, pambihirang pagkakataon na ibibigay lamang sa'yo. That is privilege. Okay? Kumbaga, bibigyan ka lang ng chance. Okay. So, dumating si Mayor. Okay. Nagpapila si Mayor. Pumila ang lahat. Sabi ni Mayor, social distancing. Nagsiksikan kayo. Tanong ko, bawal ba yung pagsiksikan? Okay? Bawal ba magsiksikan? Sabi ni Ma'am Victoria Mamuri, pa-shout out po sa Brigada Coordinator ng Senior High School. Congratulations daw po, sir, sabi ni Ma'am Victoria Mamuri. Of course, thank you, ma'am, for that. Okay, nakakagaan ng pakiramdam. So, going back, bawal po ba ang magsiksikan? The answer is yes. Bakit? Because meron po tayong batas na nagsasaad na bawal na po ang magsiksikan. Okay? And that is the Bayanihan Act of 2020. So, bawal po. Mala prohibita siya. Mala prohibita siya. Okay? Now, sir, asaan ang mala inse sa part na yun? Okay. Mala inse. Ang mala inse dun, of course, class, bakit biglang dumating si Mayor? alam naman niya na pag siya dumating magkakagulo ang mga tao. May batas ba na nagsasabing bawal pupunta si Mayor doon sa lugar? Hindi, walang batas. Pero yung pagpunta niya doon ay mali kasi panahon ng pandemic at alam niya magsisiksikan ang tao by his mere presence. So ipinagbabawal, hindi naman dahil bawal, ipinagbabawal kasi may mali pag siya ang pumunta. That is the reason why, class, every now and then, ito ay mga inaaral ng ating mga opisyal, hindi lang nakasaad sa batas, kundi pati yung mga magiging implications ng kanilang mga actions. So alam nyo na, kaya bakit kuminsan tinatawag natin, ay bakit wala si Mayor, bakit wala si Sir, bakit wala si Ma'am? Ay bakit kaya ganun tayo lang ang nandun? So take note, we have to consider the mala inse. So, okay? So napaka-importante po yan sa community engagement. Okay? So yun po yun. So yun yung dahilan. So ang karapatan natin may natural rights at meron din tayong legal rights. Of course. And then we have social equality. Of course. Ano ba yung social equality? Sir, paano yan? Social equality is about the responsibilities and consequences. Okay? Because social equality reflects, class, of course, the other people regardless of their gender. Okay? Take note ang social equality na tinutukoy natin dito, class, wala naman tayong ibang pag-uusapan dito eh. It's just a matter of how do we obtain our rights, and of course, how do we protect our rights. Take note, dalawa how do we obtain, and second is how do we protect. Now, if we able to obtain our rights because that is already regarded by the law, okay, how can we protect these rights? And in every single action that you do in the community, in either of these you are in observance of, you must be ready for its consequences. Okay? Hindi po pwedeng yung ako ginawa ko ito tapos pag may consequences sasabihin ko, kasalanan yan ng ibang tao, hindi ako. No. Because this is me, this is my right, and this is what I did, whatever the consequences, yes indeed, it is, I am accountable over it. Social equality. Okay? Bawal po ang magturuan sa community engagement. You should learn to be accountable over your action. Okay? And another now is the third core values, class, is gender equality. Of course, gender equality is a long debated topic. Okay, not only in the Philippines, of course, it's a worldwide topic. But what is gender equality? Gender equality is having the same rights, status, and opportunities as others, regardless of one's gender. So, equal rights. Ito, equal rights, equal status, equal opportunities, regardless of gender. Take note, it made mention about regardless of gender. Then again, class, I would like to put emphasis into this because it's a common misconceptions that people in the community were misled between what is gender and what is sex. Okay? When I asked somebody in the community, I asked them, what is your gender? Ang sagot nila sa akin, Sir Anya Ajay. And when I rephrase my question, what is your sex? Ang sagot sa akin, ay, dayjay lagayam ti saludsudim, sir, naglaka. Lalaki, sir. So, can you imagine, class? Please allow me to use an Ilocano because take note, class, in community engagement, then again, going back, ang community engagement po is composed of all the disciplines under the discipline and ideas in social sciences, and one of which is the linguistic. Okay? That's the reason why, my dear grade 12, kung makikita nyo, ang subject ninyo ay nasa grade 12 siya at wala siya sa second semester ng grade 11. Because your community engagement is the application of your DISS, DIASS, UCSP, and politics and governance, and the what we call this, your Fafanik, ano na naman yun? Please allow me to ask, medyo na ako dun sa isang subject. Personality development. Okay? So, lahat ito nasa community engagement class. Okay? So, bear with me kung minsan ginagamitan ko kayo ng local lingo. Okay? What we call, ang sabi ni DepEd dito is the lingo franca or the local language. Okay? Pero ang tawag natin dito sa HUMS natin, ito ay tinatawag nating linguistic. Okay? So, sinasabi nila sa akin yun. But what really is the difference between a gender and a sex? Sex refers into a universal biological classification. I would like to repeat. Sex refers to a universal biological classification as to male and a female. Dalawa lang. There were only two classifications, male and female. Whereas gender, okay, before we go that, sex is a matter of right. Karapatan mo yan. Okay? It's a matter of right. And a gender class is a matter of choice. Wow. Sir, anong ibig sabihin doon? Sir, gender is a matter of choice. Yes, it's a matter of choice. It's way beyond the universal classification as to male or female. Okay? Bakit it's a matter of choice? Because gender is a matter of choice because it's up to you to choose which of which you wanted to portray into yourself, to you as a person, to your character, to your personality as a whole. Okay? What does it mean? Okay. There is already a law providing an equal opportunity. Take note, eto na, pumapasok na si gender equality dito and social equality. Providing an equal opportunity regardless of your gender. That is the reason why gender is a matter of choice. It's not just a right, it's a matter of choice. Okay? Why? Because gender is not limited only to a male and a female, but rather gender focuses also on lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. Take note. I would like to repeat. It's not limited only to male and a female, but also it focuses on lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. Okay? That's the reason why gender is a matter of choice. So it's up to you to choose which of which. If you are a male, it's up to you to choose whether you wanted to become a gay, okay, or you wanted to become a bisexual. If you are a female, it's up to you to choose. Either you wanted to become a lesbian, or you wanted to become a bisexual, or you wanted to become a transgender. But at this point in time, I haven't encountered any female that undergoes transgender into a male. None. Bisexual is yes. And lesbian is yes. But as to male, into a gay, into a bisexual, and a transgender, yes, there is a plenty. Now, can we condemn them? The answer is no. Why? Because the right is given. The right is provided by the law itself, and the right is being respected by the society because of the gender equality. The law says they have an equal right, and the law says we must respect them. Between a male and a female, the law says gender equality as to feminism. Women have the right. Women are empowered. And therefore, if women are empowered, they are capable of, and there must be given equal opportunity as to male. And that is gender equality. Okay? So, Are you still okay, class? Nandyan pa ba kayo? Is it okay or is it all right? Okay? So, either of the two. Okay, kaway-kaway naman dyan. Huwag kayong mawindang. Oh, salamat po sa mga pa-heart po. Okay? Huwag kayong mawindang. Ang community engagement po ay hindi mahirap na subject. I would like to inform you about this. Community engagement is actually not a difficult subject, but it is a very exciting subject. It is a very exploring subject actually. Ma-explore kayo ng gusto dito because this subject entails an emergence and a developmental learning skills. Of course. And the last core values class is the participatory development. And participatory development class is an involvement of people in studying their own situations and their own decisions as well as their own distributions of resources to ensure equitable sharing. Take note to ensure equitable sharing. So, ibig sabihin class, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is my involvement, your involvement, okay, over a situation wherein we were confronted, regardless of my situation, your situation, but we are talking about the situation of the community as a whole and how we distribute our resources to address that situation. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng participatory development. Okay? So, with that, natapos natin yung core values ng ating community engagement. Of course, meron tayong mga dapat i-consider class in doing so. But I would like to inform you that after all delivering all of this, discussing all of this class, one of your assignment is you have to come up with a reflection paper and of course, assess your community and answer the following question. Okay? This will form as your assessment evaluation. Your answer will be forwarded to the GC. Okay? The question is, why should core values in community exist? Okay, ulitin ko. Why should core values in community exist? Okay? Second is, in your community, will there be problems? Cite at least or list down at least three problems that need to be addressed. Okay? So, 3 problems, class. So, you have to rank them. Okay? And then, of course, does social justice exist? If yes, how? Okay? If no, why? Okay? Also, cite situation showing the gender inequality still exists. Does it still exist? Will there still be a gender inequality? If there is, then cite example. Okay? And lastly, in your locality, describe the participation of your community in eliminating cases of COVID-19 and cite at least 3 programs in preventing COVID-19. Of course, so kung titignan nyo class, ang gawin nyo lang, balikan nyo lang since the very beginning yung pinag-usapan natin. And then assessing community and then apply. So ganun lang siya. Kumbaga ito it's just a matter of assessing, evaluating, identifying, and then we try to put solution to that concern actually. Okay? So do you have any question, class? Okay? Send naman kayong emoji dyan kung naintindihan natin pinag-uusapan. Of course. Oh, sabi ni Abby, okay sir. Okay. Okay, so if there were no more questions, class, congratulations, Humes 12, no? But before we end our discussions, I would like you to remember, class, that the community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship is not just limited, okay, to perform the following. Okay? Kasi baka ang akala kasi natin, sir, eto na, community engagement na, no? This is a most common misconceptions kasi. Okay? It is not just how we perform on the job training or practicum. It is not just how we perform our related learning experiences. It is not just how we foster relationship with others. And it is not just how we complete our community immersion program. Community engagement and solidarity is way beyond this. Okay? Take note, class, what I made mention about OJT practicum, the related learning experiences, the fostering relationship with others, and the completion of our community immersion program is just a tip of the iceberg under community engagement. Bahagi lang po siya. Maliit na bahagi lang po siya ng community engagement. Okay? Malaki pa po yan, maluwang pa po yan. But who will drive this? It will be us. It is you, it is me, it is them, it is ours. We, the people, we, the common tao, we are the community engagement and solidarity. Nothing more, nothing less. And our instrument is the society. And our procedure is the situation. And how do we enforce? We must unite as one. We act as one. We foster a better relationship to one another in order for us to be able to achieve one common goal, achieve one common objective, and that is to promote, protect, and preserve the interests of the people in the community in particular and the community in general. Once again, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. This is your teacher broadcaster, Sir Hub, saying in Ilagan, Sulong, Educalidad, Ciudad, Ilagan. This is your INHS SHS Champ Campus Radio 97 megahertz. Once again, good afternoon and mabalo to everyone.
Good afternoon. For the last 8 hours, Isabela National High School on air, Senior High School, Champ Campus Radio 97 MHz, located at San Vicente City of Ilagan, Isabela, has been broadcasting. Our 50 watts transmitter found at San Vicente City of Ilagan, Isabela, is owned by the Department of Education, Region 2. Our technical team is led by our Principal 4, Mr. Silvino B. Cabangan, and Assistant Principal 2, Ma'am Elvira A. De Los Reyes. INHS SHS faculty and staff, fully supported by the Schools Division Office of the City of Ilagan through the leadership of the Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Gilbert Naragtong. This radio station aims to provide relevant, accessible, and quality education to all INHS SHS learners. This likewise aims to propel our students' journey in the realization of their dreams and aspirations in life. Continue to stand by our next broadcast from Monday to Friday. Again, good afternoon and may the Lord bless us all.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Dinagang pula, tawid sa
Isabela National High School on Air Senior High School. Champ Campus Radio is now signing off.